Shalom, shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, pushing this 100% truth of the gospel, waking up and sealing the elect of the nation of Israel through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh. And salutation to you, sincere Akimade, that are pushing this gospel in all righteousness and sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so. Alright, so this lesson is going to be just based on Antipater the Idumean and his whole bloodline, his family line, the family of the Herodians, or rather the Herodian dynasty, because what you have is, if you ask a random Christian in the streets and ask him what nation did the Herodians belong to, they will tell you that they were Israelites, which was not the case. Far from the case, because even by Esau's own admission, all the Herodians, all of them were Edomites, Idumeans, as it were. And to even go, and if you go into the meaning of the word Idumean, you say that what the Idumeans was what the Romans called the Edomites, So what you have is biblical scholars, the vocab and the like, saying that Esau is done away with, even though, then let me go to that precept right now, because the scriptures have something to say. Okay, that was the dictionary. I was saying, let me go to that precept right now. The scriptures have something to say about that, because we always bring this out, but we always begin to always mention it. We always quote it and mention it in passing. But this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, going down to the 6th verse. So like I mean 16th verse. So like I mean that up. Ecclesiastes 4 verse 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of spirits, going into what? The nations have that these nations cannot be done away with. The nations have no end. There's no records of nations being done away with. There's no prophecies going into Esau being done away with at a certain time. There's no history going into that, and even more importantly, we're going into reincarnation. That even after you die, even after you have gone through that death, that you are still going to come back. There is no end to your spirit as a whole, your individual spirit. In this time, I should preface it by saying that so the Edomites are not done away with yet, because they are still here and they still exist to this day, just because they're not going by the name that they would normally go by, which is another thing that you have to which is another thing to be brought to that has to be brought out, because here you have a literal Edomite, alright, in secular history, who still had that title, because if you look at his name, it was called Antipater the Idumean, because once again, the Romans, referred to him as an Idumean because he came from Edom. I also know another funny thing. He was actually a Macedon. Actually lived in Macedon. During the time that he was serving, I believe it was Alexander Jai. I don't. It's I have to forgive me because I can't remember the exact the way they called him. It's Alexander Janus. The original the one that started the Hasmonean dynasty. John Hyrcanus' father. During that. During that time, he was also called a Macedonian, showing you that Macedonia was ruled by the Edomites, showing you that Alexander the Greek was an Edomite, alright. But here you have these Romans, we have these Romans that chased away, that basically ran away from that title of being Edomites, calling their fellow brethren Edomites, like they weren't part of that, part of that race. And of course I am. And of course, Antipater was of the same race, of the same bloodline as the Romans, who are modern day white people today, because they are all these, majority of majority of the so-called, I should start saying that more, but majority of the so-called white people that you see today go back to Esau Edom. They go back to these Edomites, these Idumeans, alright. But because those were who, or that biblical nation that the Romans belonged to, and that is why that's why Esau is constantly bringing out this whole the Edomites have done away with. They've been mixed and mingle, and now they can't even be identified anymore because he's trying to run away from his heritage. Because even these biblical scholars, okay, they can't argue the fact that Esau Edom is meant to be destroyed, which is why they're telling you, they've been done away with. But there's no need to be impatient, okay? Their time, okay? Esau's time will come when it is appointed by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, not before and not after, alright? So, just going through a brief overview of of Antipater, his family, okay? The entire Herodian dynasty, the ones that were ruling in Israel during the time of Yahushua, during the time of the disciples. Okay, from Antipater all the way to Herod Agrippa the second. I believe that's the last. That was the last Herodian king. So let me just go into this. The Britannica, the Britannica. So, okay, I meant to get the Bible, the Bible Wikipedia. Let me go back to that. Right, and that was the first. That was Antipater the first. Let me see if I can get that. Ah, yeah, it is. Alright. Let me. Yeah. Right, so this is it here. Alright, this is Antipater. Antipater was the father of King Herod the Great. And just in case you are wondering, this is the same Herod that tried that put for that decree to kill to kill Yahushua. Okay, that's the same Herod that killed the children from birth to 2 years old in Israel, okay. And this devil, man, these Herodians, the amount of wickedness that they did during their rulership in Israel, it is plain that they are Edomites, okay. And Antipater was the father of King Herod the Great. Antipater was from Edom. He had served as governor of Edom during the reign of King Alexander Janus and Queen Alexandra Salome of Judah during the Hasmonean dynasty. Right, and this Alexander Janus, so like I can't pronounce that name right. I should probably watch a video so I'll see how they pronounce it properly. But that is the father of John Hyrcanus, okay, the leader of the what's what I'm looking for, but leader of the the leader of the one that started the Hasmonean dynasty. Right, so that's what I'm the one that started the Hasmonean dynasty. And I continue. After the death of Alexander Janus, his wife Queen Alexandra Salome ruled for a while. When she died shortly afterwards, she left two sons feuding for the throne, right? Aristobulus and John Hyrcanus. Now, okay, John Hyrcanus, we always talk about it, that he was the one that started forcing, that started the first conversion of Edomites, okay, to Judaism, which is how you have Amalek already, which is how you have Amalek today, calling themselves the Jewish, right? But it's just okay. But this thing that he did, okay, John Hyrcanus was just a plain demon, man. Because I believe, because there are records going into how he was the one that caused the one that plotted with, okay, Antipater the Idumean to in order to assassinate his brother, okay, but I was set up for the throne. That was the one, the heir to the throne, I should say, like that. Okay, he was the one that plotted with Antipater to kill his brother in order to get the in order to get, first of all, the king of Judah and also high priest, okay, he plotted, and that was the main reason why, okay, he started first converting these Amalekites, man, which is wickedness, of course, which is going off, okay, because the Most High is not dealing with you heathen, okay. He's not dealing with any of the heathen, and trying to force, trying to convert them or bring them into this truth, okay, trying to teach them our laws, statutes, and commandments, when the Most High himself, has said that he's not dealing with them, okay. Psalms 149. Let me get that, right, because You know, I mean, like I said, what he did, okay, trying to convert these devils into our, into this truth, man, into the worship of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. That wickedness right there is going off, okay. So this is the book of Sakia, wrong precepts. Sakia. I need to get something else. I meant, okay, Psalm 147. I'm always getting those two precepts. I'm always getting it mixed up. But anyway, look of Psalm 147 verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh. Okay. So now you want to bring heathen into this. Okay, you want to bring, you want to bring the heathen, especially Esau, especially Amalek, in the worst of the worst in Esau, in of Edomites, into the statutes and the judgments, into that heritage, right? Which is just plain which is just plain wickedness. And that's the reason why Yahweh Shai used this devil, okay, Antipater the Idumean and his whole family to completely wipe out the Hasmonean dynasty. Because guess what? Okay, Herod the Great, during the Herod the Great, after the death of John Hyrcanus, Herod the Great, ascended, came into power, and I think it was during the reign of Herod, John Hyrcanus' son. He killed off all of the remainder of the Hasmonean dynasty. Okay, this was just some of the wicked acts that these devils committed, against our people. Because even though, okay, the Hasmonean dynasty was, even though John Hyrcanus was wicked, okay, he was still an Israelite. Okay, he was still part of that royal seed. And this I know what, and he was still, right, the king of Judah during that time. Okay, so let me keep on going on this article. Okay, okay. She left two sons feuding the throne, Aristobulus and John Hyrcanus. Aristobulus declared himself king and forced John Hyrcanus into becoming high priest. And that's something that you see, the Hasmonean kings, they weren't just kings, but they were also high priests in Israel. Okay, they were also the high priests during that time. Okay, so going on. Antipater saw this as an opportunity. He ingratiated himself to John Hyrcanus and requested aid from Aretas, king of Nabatea. The Nabateans marched into Judah and gave the crown to John Hyrcanus to ensure that Aristobulus would cause no much more trouble. Antipater had him accidentally thrown in a coffin full of honey, a sticky grave. Okay, Antipater began to notice the growing power of Rome in the region, and so aligned himself with Pompey the Great, who in 63 BC came into Judah. That's basically a brief summary of Alexander the Great and his action of Antipater the Idumean. Antipater the Idumean and his actions. Okay, because what Antipater did was that he rubbed elbows with all these Roman politicians at the time, and because he found favor with them, they made him the governor of Judea. They put him over us, because once again, he was the same people as them, the same race as them. So they just simply put their brother, right, a fellow Edomites, over our people during that time. And then he all the wickedness, and then he committed great wickedness against our people, or rather his seed line committed that great wickedness against our people. All right, so jumping from Antipater, I want to go to Herod the Great, which was even the inspiration for doing this lesson. Okay, Herod the Great was the inspiration for doing this lesson, because now I was going into Herod and Herod Archelaus, which were the two, right, the two Edomites that were ruling during the time of our Lord Yahweh Shai. Herod being the one that put out that decree to kill all the firstborn, to kill all the male children of 0 and 2 years old in order to find Yahweh Shai, and Herod Archelaus, of course, committing all kinds of wickedness against our people once again. Whether it's going into defiling the temple by putting up idols in its or once, like I said, I believe it was Herod the Great slaughtered, slaughtered the remainder of the Hasmonean dynasty and set up, wicked high priests. Okay, set up wicked high priests into, as a ruler, as the high priest of our people. And I might, and yeah, I don't think that it was Herod that set up Hananias, okay, that, the high priest during the time of Yahushai's rule. But anyway, let me see if I can get that. What I'm looking for is, I saw the family line of the Herodian, I said the family line of the Herodian dynasty. So that was what I actually wanted to bring out. Let me start at the beginning of the article, okay? This is Antipater, and it reads Antipatros like the father. Okay, that's what the word means. Antipatros like the father. That's what the name Antipater means. Okay, Antipater was a Macedonian general and statesman under Kings Philip II of Macedon and Alexander the Great. This is the wrong Antipater. Oh, yeah, I'm making a mistake. Because Antipater shouldn't have been alive. Antipater, the idumean, shouldn't have been alive during that time. Okay, so here it is. Okay, Antipater the first, the Idumean, was the founder of the Herodian dynasty and father of Herod the Great. And according to Josephus, he was the son of Antipas and had formerly held that name. Okay, a native of Edom, southeast of Judah, between the Dead Sea and the Gulf of Aqaba. We already know all these parts. Okay, we already know these parts. What I actually wanted to go into was, so okay, here, the family tree of these devils, man. Here it is. The family tree of these devils. Let me see if I can zoom out. So okay, my screen is a little too small. Let me see if I can get this in desktop mode. Alright, okay, anyhow, okay, I'll just manage it like this. Okay, so you actually have is Antipater. Antipater was the beginning of this line. Okay, then it's going on down to Herod the Great, or then to Archelaus, which of course he did not rule that long. I believe he ruled for 8 years, and then his brother, I think he was, and the brother, he ruled for 8 years. Then the brother, then the next in line. Okay, next in that line was, what was it? So okay, I'm looking for. Okay, next in the line was next in line was Agrippa, because there was for a period of time, because for a period of time, the people, after the death of Archelaus, they forced basically they forced the Romans to give them rulers, okay, rulers of that were Israelites. So I should say a high priest, or a high priest that was Israelites. Okay, that was the time. That was the time that the this thing, the Sanhedrin. That was the time that the Sanhedrin actually came into power. Okay, that was the time that the Sanhedrin was developed. That was when the Sanhedrin actually started after the death of after the death of Herod Archelaus. Then after that, you have Agrippa. Then you have the Herod. Once another Herod again. You have the King Agrippa the first. Okay, you have another Herod again, which was the Herod the Tetrarch in the book of Acts. That once that when he was marching down the streets, the niggers of our people, man, those jakes. And let me see if I can get that. I didn't want to bring this out, but now I have to go to that real quick, just to make the history clear, because people would believe that the Herod that was spoken of in the book of Matthew is the same Herod that was spoken of in the book of Acts, when that's not actually the case. Okay, so let me go to that. Let me bring that out. It's okay, I'm looking for it. Can't remember how the precept, because basically, when Herod when Herod was marching down the street in his horse, okay, people saw him and they started calling him, they started saying that it is the most high, that this is the most high. So that's what I want to bring out. So I can't remember the exact precept that is in. Okay, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Book of Acts, chapter 12. Ibrakataya Washni Awashai. Okay. Let me just go down to it. Okay, it is Acts 12, verse 21. And upon a set day, Herod, arrayed in royal apparel, sat upon his throne and made an oration unto them. And the people gave a shout, saying, It is the voice of a God and not of a man. And immediately the angel of the Lord smote him, because he gave not God the glory, and he was eaten of worms and gave up the ghost. Right? So this is a descendant of Antipater the Idumean. This is of the Herodian dynasty. This is a descendant of Herod the Great, the first. Okay, yeah, the first official Edomite ruler the official Edomite ruler of Judea, and this is also an Edomite. All right, so you can clearly see that bloodline is going down from Antipater all the way to Herod. So even during the time of our Lord Yahushua, you had Edomites. Okay, they were obviously there. So there's no saying that Herod, okay, the Antipater was the last Idumean and his family was the last Idumean, because this family line, okay, the family line of Antipater is still continued on down even up to this day. Okay. Okay, so that, and then and then let me go back to that. Let me go back to that. Okay, so now you have the last and the herald of, okay, so you have the last king of the Herodian dynasty, which is King Agrippa the second, which is the same Agrippa that was which is the same Agrippa that was ruling during the time of the Apostle Paul, okay, when he was persecuted. Alright, so the reason why of me doing this lesson, aside from proving that Esau is not done away with, once again, okay, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verse, because you have so many, because this is just folly, okay, it's the false doctrine, wickedness that is being brought out, okay. Ecclesiastes 4, verse 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of spirits. Okay, and even these devils have put it in the blue letter. Yeah, I believe they have also put it in the blue letter. You have to let me quickly get that. I can't remember, but I believe that they also put it in the blue letter that Esau as a distinct people group. That's how they put it basically. Esau as a distinct people group was done away with. So let me see if I can get that. Okay, I'm looking for that precept. Okay, it is Hebrews 12 by 16. Alright, so let me see. Let me get that letter. Okay, it wasn't here. Okay, okay, it's not here. I'm thinking of another. I'm thinking of another reference. Okay, but you know what they say is that basically that Esau is doing away with because his seed is mixed and mingled throughout all the generations, but that's not possible. Okay, it's basically bringing out this folly of mixing seed, which is basically confusion. Okay, so first of all, the first that we'll get is the scripture says that the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of order in all the churches. So let me get that. They are the author of confusion. All right. Says the book of First Corinthians 14 verse 33. For the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. Okay, so our power is the power of order and not this confusion, because what these people are basically doing is, and I want to, and the theory that the world, a person has these different heritages in the body just because okay that he had been that just because he had been a person has different heritages, okay, like just because his father mixed his seed with all these women of various nations, and it looks like all these various nations, and then Esau started saying that okay that his seed is mixed, okay, that he has a little bit of a little bit of Ammonite in him, a little bit of Ishmaelite in him, a little bit of Hamite in him, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but that is not how it works. Okay, there is only one seed, and that seed line, okay, and we always go into this, okay, your seed line is determined by who your father, okay, whatever nation that your father is, whatever nation that your forefathers go back to, okay, that is what nation that you are from. So there is no mixing of any seed, because if you say that, okay, if you say that Esau is done away with because his seed is mixed, that's just a roundabout way of saying that there are no more nations on the earth, because all the nations have mixed their seed, in one way or another, including the Israelites. Okay, so what you have is the Edomites are done away with because they've mixed their seed, but the Israelites that were prophesied to go into captivity, to be scattered around and to be mixed among the nations, they are not, they are not done away with, or they are not done away with. They are in Israel. They are in Israel right now, allegedly, according to these certain people, according to Vocab and all these other so-called Christian scholars that talk about Esau being done away with. And you can see these are just plain devils, man. They will do anything, to hide from their heritage. They'll do anything to hide from the fact that they are that they are the true biblical Edomites. They'll do anything to run away from this fact, man, because they know what is coming to them: slavery, and then at the end of the 1,000 year slavery, destruction. Okay, because this is all it boils down to, and it all boils down to Esau trying to escape his judgments, and you can see all the wickedness that these people have committed. Okay, various Edomite families, you see with the Herodians, you see with the Borgias, you see with the Agagites, okay, you see with the Amalekites, you see with even this modern day, even the modern day family, the modern day elite family of Esau, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Gates, okay, all these elite banking families. You can see all the wickedness that they have done, especially to you Israelites, man. You can even go down to the low level. Okay, you see with these low level Edomite families, especially the ones in Babylon. The what's what I'm looking for again? The Reagans, okay, the Kennedys. These all these different families. You can mention that you can mention continually, even up to the lowest level of Edomite. Okay, just with our basic hatred for our people. You see why they're trying to run away from the fact that this is who they are. Okay, this is who their family line goes back to, even though you have clear evidence, okay, that Edomites existed during time of Yahushua. You have clear evidence that Edomites even existed in history, and they still continue to exist up to this day, because you know that descendants from the Herodian dynasty still walk upon the earth to this day. You know that, okay, descendants from Agag, from the Agagites, from Haman, and so like not Haman, but descendants from Agag, the descendants from Amalek, descendants from Esau still walk around to this day. But they'll tell you that what Esau is done away with. You see these mixed and all that. They won't bring out any evidence to prove that he's done away with it. It's just utter confusion, man. It's just wickedness. Witchcraft trying to. You're basically trying to pass the. Basically trying to shift away the attention, shift away they run away from their heritage and shift away the spotlight of who the Edomites are from them. Alright, so I'm just going to end it here. I just want to bring out a little something on the nothing too long. I just want to bring out a little something on the Herodian dynasty. From what I was from what I was from what I was reading and looking into. Alright, let's give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Ba'asham Rachak Wadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through the spirit of you Akyam and you Akwath or edified. Shalom.